Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the late start here. Tonight is the year-end December 10th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting. And if you would care to...
Yes. I call my final meeting to order. To be clear.
Let us rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight is going to be a non-conventional night, so as such, we're going to start off with item number 4, public hearings, instead of starting off with number 1. So, Bernadette?
Yes, this is a public hearing for ordinance 380-2025 for the Verizon franchise agreement adoption. I'm going to turn it over to Catherine to explain.
Thank you. I have just 2 exhibits for the record. The first one is T1, the proof of publication for this hearing, and the second is T2, which is the actual draft agreement with Verizon. So a brief summary for the board and the public is that the Township's legal team has completed negotiations on a new 5-year cable franchise renewal with Verizon Pennsylvania. Despite significant industry changes related to the increasing prevalence of streaming services, the Township preserved all major benefits of the current agreement and secured key improvements, including a broader definition of gross revenue, stronger audit rights, clear requirements for providing free cable service for municipal sites, enforceable customer service standards, enhanced reporting, and the ability to activate up to 2 public access channels. The agreement also adds protections such as a 12-month notice requirement before termination and competitive equity provisions to ensure fair treatment among future providers. Overall, it strengthens municipal authority, consumer protections, and the Township's position in managing the cable service. That's all I have for the record. If the board or the public doesn't have any questions, we can close the hearing, and the suggested motion is for the board to approve the execution of the cable franchise renewal agreement.
I have no questions. Board?
I have none.
Same, none.
Any public questions? Okay, then I guess Bernadette, just...
At this point, if there's no further questions or comments from the audience, we could close the public hearing, go back to the public meeting, and then vote upon the ordinance.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 380-2025 for the Verizon franchise agreement adoption.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes 3-0. Okay. All right. Moving back into kind of the order of the agenda, but not quite. But today is today's not only the final supervisor meeting for 2025. It is the Rich Orlow Day of celebration. Rich is retiring at the end of his supervisor term here. And Rich is someone who has given a lot of himself in terms of time, sharing knowledge, and doing it with class and integrity and a smile. He's been a valuable board member who is not only a dedicated supervisor, but a steady guide, a trusted colleague, and a great sounding board, especially for me, especially when I took over this position as board chairman many years ago. I'd like to give a little bit of a background about Rich. So he has been a member of the Board of Supervisors since June of 2018, following his tenure as an elected supervisor from 2019 or 16 to December of 2017. His involvement with the township began soon after he moved to East Whiteland Township in 1989. And over the years, he has contributed significantly, serving on various boards and commissions, including the Planning Commission, I believe in 2001, where he was eventually appointed chairman, the Zoning Hearing Board, the Parks and Rec Board, and as an elected auditor. Currently, he remains active in other local governments as a member of the Finance Committee and treasurer of our fire department. Rich holds a CPA accountant credential and an attorney at law degree, which he earned through Penn State University with distinction, followed by his Juris Doctor from Delaware Law School and a Master of Law in Taxation from Temple University School of Law. His true professional life, where he makes the big bucks, is he manages legal and financial matters for the Piazza Auto Group. Additionally, he serves on the board of directors of First Resource Bank. Rich and his wife Sandy have called East Whiteland home since their movement here in 1989, as I said, and they have 3 children throughout the country. In his leisure time, Rich enjoys cycling along the Chester Valley Trail, playing golf, swimming, and skiing. Peter, do you have any thoughts, comments?
I would just like to say thank you to Rich for his 37 years of public service. You have given your most valuable asset to this township for that time, and that is time. You've given so much of your time to make this the great place that it is to live. I thank you so much for that. I will miss you sitting by my side as a good sounding board and expert on a lot of things that I'm definitely not an expert on. You will be missed greatly, and I wish you the best in retirement. And don't not pick up if I call for advice, because I will be missing you. Thank you very much.
Steve, you have something to add?
Yeah, I'm going to ask everyone to bear with me. Some of you have heard this, it's a story, and I'm going to try to tell an abbreviated version of it, but most of you have not heard this. I knew Rich before I started working here at East Whiteland almost 9 years ago, and I knew him through a local scout troop, Troop 78. The troop does a lot of great things and goes on a lot of great trips, and dads participate, and Rich and I were 2 dads who participated. And the troop signature trip is a week-long canoe and camping trip in Canada. It's to Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario. It's considered a real rite of passage for scouts and adults in the troop. Algonquin is a huge park. It's larger than Delaware and Rhode Island combined, has over 1,500 lakes and 600 miles of rivers and streams. It makes for a true wilderness adventure where you paddle and portage everything you need for those 7 days that you're in the park. Over 10 years ago, Rich and I were on the trip with our sons. I was definitely not a great paddler, and my son was young and experienced, and I believe it's fair to say the true was for Rich and his son. Each day we set out, and the Browns and the Orlos would quickly fall behind, and no one waited for us. There were 6 other 6 other, canoes, so 12 other people who all took off, and it was like a race. Anyway, no one stayed together the whole time as far as I can tell. And I'm here to tell you that no one was ever going to mistake the Browns or the Orlos for being French voyageurs. And so we were way, way behind. Each day, and I'm not kidding here, consisted of roughly 10 to 12 hours of paddling across these lakes, looking for a small yellow sign on the other side, which is where the portage was. And these lakes aren't straight, so, and it's not as easy as you might think. And then you get to lug your canoes and backpacks across the portage, and you get to go back into the water and continue paddling. Despite the challenges, at least I think the trip was great. And I see Rich smiling, and I hope he views it that way. The reason I mentioned all this is to describe one day near the end of the trip. It was gray, windy, and rainy. Near the end of that day, my son and I reached what's called Happy Isle Lake, and it's called that because there's an island out in the middle, not surprisingly known as Happy Island, where the troop was spending the night on that island in the middle of the lake. We were a little ahead of the Orlos after the last portage, or as they say, portage, but way behind the others as always. At the choppy water's edge, I considered the situation and was faced with a decision. Do we wait for Rich and his son, or do we make a mad dash for it across the, it might have been a half mile, might have been a mile of open water to get out to that island before things got worse? So I made the obvious choice and decided to leave Rich and his son behind. It was every man for himself, and my son and I set out. It was a struggle, and it was nerve-wracking, but we made it. At Happy Isle, I was immediately asked, where are the Orlos? And then chastised for not waiting, like anyone ever waited for anybody on this trip. Anyway, they decided to send out 2 strong, experienced paddlers back to find the Orlos, and they did, of course, and they found them on the shore where Rich and his son had wisely decided to head towards after setting out. And then the 4 paddled back to Happy Isle, and that's the happy ending to this story. I'm a little surprised that Rich still talks to me, let alone was willing to hire me here 9 years ago. Yes, so thank you. I tell this story to illustrate...
It was only a 2-to-1 vote, by the way.
I tell this story to illustrate a few things about Rich. Rich was then and is now smart, obviously way smarter than me. He's calm under pressure. He's resilient. He's tough. He's a problem solver. He's level-headed, rational, forgiving, and he's experienced, which is also a euphemism for being old. All those traits that I've listed served Rich well that day and in his various roles here in East Whiteland Township and in his years as supervisor. Rich's steady leadership and calm presence have made a huge difference in East Whiteland Township, both our community and the organization over the years, no matter what board he served on. I've learned that people like Rich are the ones you lean on and look to. They're the ones that will guide you through the tough situations, ranging from development approvals to budgets to sticky personnel matters. I've always appreciated those qualities and how Rich approaches the task at hand and then solves a problem, always with the best interest of the community in mind. I'll miss him, I thank him, and I wish him well.
We have some accommodations here, but before we get to that, are there any comments that the public would like to pass along? If so, to come up to the podium. If not, we'll move on. Okay. Peter, would you help me out and read this? Yeah. It's from PSATs.
If I may, this is from the PSATs, which is the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. On behalf of the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, we extend our warmest congratulations and deepest gratitude for your dedicated years of service to your township. Your commitment to public service has been invaluable. Please accept the enclosed certificate as a small but heartfelt token of our sincere appreciation for your tireless efforts. With dedicated individuals like you having served in Pennsylvania's local government, we can rest assured that the quality of township life will continue to survive and thrive as innovation meets tradition. We are immensely proud of your township officials and staff, and we especially recognize those of you who have consistently served the community year after year, and you certainly have, Rich. We commend you for a job exceptionally well done. The residents of your township are fortunate to have benefited from your leadership and can take great pride in all you have accomplished on their behalf. We recognize the sacrifices and hard work that come with serving the public, and your unwavering commitment set a high standard for all who follow. All our very best to you and your future endeavors. Sincerely, David Sanko. That's
Thank
nice.
you. Very nice, yes. Very nice.
Give that to you to keep, and I think Scott has something. Whoa, look at that.
Oh, my God.
Moving up the food chain, we have one from the Senator Muth.
That's long.
I won't read it, but it is a congratulatory message, ordinance for Rich. Katie Muth.
No, thank you. Thank you all.
And I guess we've got picture taking. We'll hand these to you. In which we also have a citation from State Representative Christine Howard as well.
You need more wall space.
And then if we can come down front, I'll hand you one more and we'll take some pictures. I feel like when Rich and I play golf, he's always coming away with all the hardware like he is tonight.
Thank you all for your comments. It's very meaningful after all these years. 35 years is a long time. It goes in a blink of an eye. It just, appreciate every day you have. On the story that Steve told, one thing I have to add to it, before the trip, a couple of the experienced scouters said, you'll have to do some portaging too on the trip. I said, not having any clue what that was, I said, sure, okay, sure. So portaging is carrying a canoe on your neck, okay, for miles and miles. So how smart could I be? And then I was approached, we'd like you to be supervisor. I said, how hard could that be? But everything worked out fine. It's been, the thing that I'll miss is working with our staff, as well as we have an exceptional staff, an exceptional township. I appreciate all the time, all the support The supervisors were the decision makers, but we wouldn't be able to make the decisions we make in the best interest of the township and the residents without all of the information and all the work that you guys do all day, every day. In a way, we're your spokesman. So I really appreciate all the efforts that you guys do. I have a little longer thank you, but I'll just post that on the East Whiteland internet site as a thank you to staff and all the residents. I always did appreciate residents coming to the meetings. Made it a little longer, but that's the only way we know what you're thinking, and we represent you. So keep coming. I think you should bring more people in the future.
Peter, will you cut him off?
So, no, thank you again. I really appreciate everything.
Moving on to board briefings on the agenda. We'll be at 2B here. Just wanted to announce that we had executive sessions. They were held on November 19, December 8th, December 10th, pertaining to legal, personnel, and real estate activities. I'd like to hand over to Catherine to give us an update on grant awards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So since last meeting, the good news is that a lot of things have shook loose related to the federal budget and the state budget. But that takes some time then to spin up those groups that make recommendations for grant awards. So we're still in that holding period right now, but hopeful that some of the pending applications that the township has in, most notably one for Route 30 that's been in this year through the CFA program. We're still waiting to hear on that one. And also a number of grants that we put in at the end of 2024 that would normally get announced at this time of the year. So that might be delayed is what we're hearing into the first quarter of 2026. But also since last meeting, the township submitted the LSA grant applications that we discussed at the last meeting. So those are now in, and it'll probably be about another year until we hear on those. So still in a little bit of a holding pattern here, but we definitely have some irons in the fire that we're hopeful on decisions soon.
I'll add one other thing is that to date, we've got awards received or expected of $12,764,000, which, if you want to equate to, that's about $1,000 per resident here in the township, which is unheard of. So we're very happy on that. Next, moving on to Parks and Recreation. Larry will be on the screen. Larry, your show.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we go and roll into the winter months with Parks and Recreation, definitely our quieter months. Our bathrooms at our park facilities are closed for the season. Field rentals are closed for the season. We're looking to open both of those back up come March. So be on the lookout for that information. The next big thing on our agenda is our Holiday Lights Contest. We started this last year. Had a great response from our community showcasing all the amazing holiday lights and spectacles that people put on their homes, and bringing that back again this year. Kind of reining it in a little bit and only doing 3 top prizes on first, second, or third place. So if you decorate your house or know anybody who has a great kind of holiday display, please tell them to enter. First prize is $300, second prize will be $200, and third prize will be $100, as voted on by East Whiteland residents and everyone online starting next week. Other than that, we're looking to release our annual events calendar That'll be on the consent agenda at the end of this meeting and will be hopefully published in our newsletter and on our website in the coming days. But other than that, that's pretty much it for Parks and Recreation. I want to say a huge congrats and thank you to Rich, and I'll see you on Friday.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Next item is 2E, and we just want to confirm to everyone that the reorganization meeting, which is required annually by the Commonwealth, will occur on January 5th, and following that, due to some scheduling issues, the regular January monthly Board of Supervisor meetings will follow after that. So roughly about 6:30, I think, in that time frame.
So now you do that, you combine it into one night?
Yeah, Scott, it could be earlier. It may be 5:30 for the regular meeting.
Okay.
You can go. We have to reappoint him for something. Let's figure something out. Okay. Jumping around again on the schedule, we are moving forward to the end of the consent, and I'm going to read the consent. Then we're going to come back to a presentation by the Malvern Historical Commission. So don't think I'm skipping you or leaving you in the dust or forgetting you. We're going to consent. So on the consent side, we're going to approve the meeting minutes from November 2025, ratify payments of bills of the amount of $955,790.93, accept the treasurer's report. We will then accept the proposal from Natural Lands for comprehensive plan update for the amount of $6,700.
If I may interject, what's that for, Catherine?
And what I would like to do is read what that is all about
Okay.
and the purpose of that.
Thank you.
So again, proposal from Natural Lands for the comprehensive plan update. The reason this is occurring is that East Whiteland is experiencing the growing negative effects of a declining office market. By the end of 2025, we project nearly 5 million square feet of office space in the corporate center will be vacant. This trend poses a significant financial challenge for both the township and the school district, including reductions in property assessments, decreases in earned income tax revenue, and a slowdown in business activity. Due in part to these mounting pressures and developer inquiries about the possibility of rezoning the area exclusively for residential use, the board and the staff undertook a comprehensive review of zoning options, economic impacts, and long-term community benefits were looked at. One of the largest and most strategically important properties in this area, the 100-acre vacant Oracle site, which is zoned O and BP, is currently for sale. It is being actively pursued by 5 major home builders and 15 additional developers. We believe this parcel represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to redefine and revitalize this portion of our community. The board is not interested in another large-scale residential-style development. Instead, we envision something we believe to be far more dynamic, innovative, and beneficial to the community. a mixed-use sports, entertainment, and active space destination on this Oracle site that will provide recreation, economic activity, and long-term stability. This vision has been endorsed by the Chester County Commissioners, who stated, "We believe this concept represents a dynamic and forward-thinking opportunity that can bring long-term benefits to East Whiteland Township, Chester County, and the broader Philadelphia area." To advance this vision, we began in the third quarter the process of updating our township comprehensive plan to reflect this new direction. Tonight, we formally start the next step in the formal process. As this process moves forward, we look forward to hearing from all our residents, businesses, and stakeholders as we work forward together to shape a stronger, more diverse future for East Whiteland Township. And that is the background on the Natural Lands proposal. Any questions?
Through the process, they will be public meetings, and the public will be able to come and voice their opinions, suggestions also, right?
Absolutely. And you'll be welcome to join them.
I'll check my schedule.
Also on the consent agenda is to approve the 2026 Park and Recreation Annual Events Calendar, and then approve agreement for professional services with Everbach Acoustic Consulting for a price not to exceed $10,000. Any questions on any of those other items? Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it passes 3-0. Moving back to the agenda. To 2F. Zach, are you going to do an introduction on this, or Catherine? Pertaining to the Malvern Historical Commission presentation?
Yeah, I believe that we have representatives here this evening with a
Right.
presentation. I don't know if they're in the audience, if you guys want to come up. Please. And there's a microphone there.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us tonight, members of the board, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Weichert, for getting us on the agenda and for managing the slideshow. So we are here to ask for a small presentation and a small ask. We'll try to keep this brief because we know you're all very busy and we know you have a lot to do tonight. Could you pull up that slideshow for us? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. But as a brief introduction, there are 63,000 streams that are unnamed in Pennsylvania. 3 of them happen to be in Malvern. Now, Malvern sits on top of the hill, on top of the Valley Hill. 3 of them that go into Crum Creek down in the south are named. Now, there are 3 also that have their headwaters in Malvern, flow northward down the Valley Hill, and join the Little Valley Creek. All 3 of them are unnamed, and we are here today to ask for your support to help name them. So if that presentation can be pulled up, we will make a brief introduction. So as an aside, I'm going to introduce my colleague who's on the Historical Commission, Ms. Frederich, who is also on Borough Council.
Hi, thank you also. I'll also give my thanks for having us here. I know your pain of a long meeting. It is what it is, right? So as John said, I am a member of Borough Council. I'm also a member of the Historical Commission. We are, we've given our support to John for this. On both counts, and I just wanted to let you know that we are in full support of this.
Well, as we get started. So basically, the process here is this: there is a specific naming process you have to go through in order to name these streams, and that you go through the Board of Geographic Names of the U.S. government and also the Pennsylvania Board of Geographic Names. What they need are names that have long-term, basically the people who are deceased and who have long-term connections to the land around the stream which it is being named for. And we, as a historical commission, we went through hundreds of names, hundreds of iterations, and came up with names that are significant both to Malvern and to East Whiteland Township. And we went before, as a board, as a group, as a historical commission, we agreed upon these names. And then about this time last year, we went before your historical commission and got their unanimous approval for these names. And then we went back to our borough council and got them to pass a resolution supporting these names. And that is what we are here to ask from you tonight. So if we can go up to that. Yeah, so these are the resolutions. I'm afraid the presentation is not going to be there, but it's coming. But as we go through, so these are the three names. Here we go. There's a PowerPoint slideshow. Would that be okay? No, please. No need to apologize.
So I see one of them is Fonstock Run.
Yes. Yes, and I'll since that's the first one I wanted to start with. I think, is it okay? I will start with that one. So Fonstock Run starts around, I think it's Jennings Lane in Malvern, flows underneath the railroad, goes down there. There it is. Thank you very much. If you could go down, whoops. There we go. If you go to slide number 4 for me, please, sir. There we go. Yeah, so the person must be deceased at least 5 years. Names cannot be construed to commemorate living persons, and then they need to evince. The government needs to have evidence of community support for these names, and that's why we're here to ask for your support. So next slide, please, sir. All right, keep going. I think might be the wrong one, but that's okay. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. Proposed stream names. Yes, we are on it. Thank you. Anyway, next slide, please. So the first one is Fonstock Run. While there is Fonstock Road in General Warren Village, there aren't actually any natural features named for this long-standing family. They came out of Ephrata Cloister, if you've been there in Lancaster County, and they bought the General Warren Inn, and 3 generations at least are buried on the hillside there in General Warren, in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. And you can see where that goes. Now, the Fonstocks, they bought this land from John Penn, and there is Fonstock land both in East Whiteland Township and in Malvern. This stream starts at Jennings Lane, flows under the railroad, goes down through General Warren Village, and then joins Little Valley Creek just on the other side of 29. So that is the one we're asking for. Next slide, please. So the second name we're proposing, and we're asking for your support for, is Dill Run. Now, that was a very difficult stream to find names for because there's very little evidence of people living there other than the Dills. Now, Catherine Maria Dill and her husband, Alec Dill, lived in Malvern for 30 years and atop that stream in a little spring house right there near the industrial park. Now, this family was held in very high esteem. As a matter of fact, when she was in her elderly years and suffering from deprivation, a call went out for her welfare, and donations came in from as far as Connecticut to make sure that she would not be out of health and home. So they're very well regarded in the community, very long-time residents, and they are in fact buried in Mount Zion AME near New Centerville in New Tredyffrin. So next slide, please. So that is the spring house where it starts. It starts in the industrial park. I'm afraid the spring house has now been demolished. But it goes down along Warren Avenue or the Hollow Road. And if you guys remember that bridge you replaced down there on North Warren, that flows underneath that culvert there and then joins what we're hoping to call Fonstock Run just on the other side of that. So next slide, please. So there's no other names near Dill Run in Chester County, and there are very other few families with direct connections to the stream other than the Fonstocks, which we've already covered. So next slide, please. Thank you. Last name is Bartholomew Run. Now, the Bartholomew family were early settlers who served in the American Revolution. Some of them are buried over in Great Valley Baptist. Now, they had a very long time connection to this land. They owned the land for over 159 years, and the entire length of that stream flows on their land, with the exception of this little spring house here, which is in Malvern. In fact, by the time the last owner of the direct descendant died in 1898, they had lived in it for 159 years. So next slide, please. Again, it is a very unique name. No other Bartholomew runs in the United States. Next slide, please. And you can see it there. It flows down through Malvern into East Whiteland, and at one time joined the Little Valley Creek near Valley Store, which is where Target is today. But next slide, please. Now, however, it is piped underneath the Meridian Bank headquarters and joins in his and basically joins a storm sewer. But if you guys have remembered, may have seen Malvern's difficulty with that little stream up at the top of Old Lincoln Highway, you understand why we want to name it. And these names sort of help raise awareness, and they help give a name to these sort of things that, other than saying, oh, this little stream here that's causing us so much headache, say down, with stream erosion down there, you can say, that is, Vonderstock Run or Dill Run, and, it helps raise awareness of it and many other benefits. So next slide, please. So what we're asking then is just for your support, maybe in the form of a resolution, if you see fit to support these names. We have a, as I said, our Borough Council passed resolution number 879 of 2025, which basically you guys could copy if you would so like to do so. Lays out the general evidence for it, saying that we support this. And if you do confirm your support, we will do the rest of the work. We'll just send that resolution, our resolution, and all the supporting materials on to the PHMC and the U.S. Board of Geographic Names for the review. And if it's accepted, they'll be added to the map and they'll be named, and then we'll have gotten a nice little win. So that's what we're asking, and I'd like to thank you. And if you have any questions for us, we're here. So,
Will there be signage indicating the name of the?
Not necessarily, but I mean, it would at least be on the map, and you could refer to it as these official names in your documentation.
Okay.
Does any of this play into the state's department, DEP?
I don't think so. They don't have jurisdiction over the names. It sort of goes through like a geographic naming office at the state level, and I don't quite remember what branch that's under.
I have no questions. I think the names are appropriate, and I have no problem moving forward.
Great. Well, then thank you very much. And we will make sure you guys get a copy of that resolution if you'd like to refer to it, and all the supporting materials so you can render a decision appropriately. So
That sounds greght.
great. Thank you all so very
Okay.
much, and thank you for your time.
I'll just add one thing. Any
Okay.
questions from the public?
Sorry.
I've not seen any. Again, like Rich and Peter, I have no problem, so we should be able to take care of that soon. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, and thank you Ms. Weicker.
Do we make a motion here? Okay. Information.
Moving on to number 3, board motions and resolutions. I will turn this over to Bernadette to give us a status update on the Bishop Tube extension. And I believe we have Ed Campbell here to discuss some of the aspects of it.
Yes, Ed Campbell, the applicant's attorney, is present. Just briefly, the Bishop Tube, we had granted the extension, I believe it was back in May, through December 30th of this year. Ed recently, in November, had provided another extension till February 28th, 2026, and that is before the board tonight. We just wanted Ed to come in and sort of give an explanation of where you are at. We know you have pending federal litigation, and we just kind of wanted to understand where Bishop Tube is at this point. So I'll turn it over to Ed.
Thank you for your service, and I'm sure you'll be happy not to deal with Bishop Tube any further. So, as the board and the public knows, this project received preliminary approval for about 84, 86 townhouses many years ago. And what's before you is an application to continue our application to get final approval. And the issue is that, as you know, the site is contaminated and it needs to be cleaned up. And there's been ongoing federal litigation initiated by the DEP, brought in federal court, involving my client and former owners of the property and their successors in interest. That litigation has been going on probably for more than 2 years now. At the conclusion of that litigation, we expect that there will be a settlement, that settlement will result in an order presented to the court, and the court will enter a consent order, if you will, which will control and direct the parties in terms of their respective obligations as it relates to the remediation that's to follow. I reported this to Burnett. I'm sure she's reported to you. And so I hope I don't sound like a broken record, but the parties are genuinely very close to resolving this. I would expect that a settlement would be finalized and reached in the next 4 to 6 weeks, presented to the court, and the court would shortly after that enter an order. Really are negotiating legalese, no disrespect to us who are attorneys, but substantively, I believe that there is a meeting of the minds and trying to put the appropriate protocols together in the various documents. That being said, I'm limited as to what I can say as negotiations continue and they're subject to confidentiality provisions. But we truly think that in January, certainly within 4 to 6 weeks, that will be resolved. It'll be submitted to the court, assuming the court accepts our proposed consent, which we have no reason to think that the court would not. There'll be a consent order, and then it basically moves over into DEP's court, where there's an additional opportunity for public input and review of what the remedy will be. And we need to know what that remedy is to finalize our final plan with you, because it affects sequencing, it affects layouts of the development.
That leads into my question, Ed. Thank you. Is that, for this very difficult contamination, is that technology there, or is that the unknown right now?
No, the technology's there. What's worked out is, candidly, what role each of the participants in that litigation are going to play in executing that remediation, whether it's actually doing it or contributing to it, or those are the kinds of things that have been negotiated.
Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't answer this in detail, but the DEP has already issued a recommendation as to their preferred remediation. Can you say if that is affected by the litigation?
It certainly is, right? And without commenting on it, the resolution of the litigation will give effect to a remediation, and I would expect that the DEP will be a party to what we are proposing to the court. If we weren't of one mind, we would be proceeding with litigation, not a settlement.
To answer your question, Ed Campbell here represents the Constitution Partners, the owner of the property.
Sorry, I didn't hear your last name.
Sure. My name is Edmund Campbell, just like the soup, a relation. Those would be Dorrance. And I represent the property owners.
Ed, may I ask a question? So once the federal litigation is settled and if the federal judge agrees to the settlement among the parties, I think what Rich was asking, I might have missed your answer to it, is does that affect what DEP will be doing on the property? I think Rich asked it. I just missed what you said.
And I would say, of course, it affects it.
Yes.
Right. And I would expect that the DEP will be part of that settlement.
Okay.
So without speaking to what the settlement is or those terms, I would, if the DEP is not part of it, we don't have a settlement.
Okay. And then once you have that settlement, would you then be able to proceed with revising the plans at East Whiteland Township?
Yeah, I think my client has to make a decision at that point as to whether, because there are still additional steps that DEP has to do, and the issue will be, will my client want to proceed on a parallel path, taking the risk that someone would object to the mediums, although I don't expect that. And if my client takes that path, we probably won't be asking for continuances anymore or extensions, but that's a to be determined.
To be determined. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had in my notes 4 to 6 weeks. You think you'll know whether
We'll have a settlement inked.
And
I'm happy to come back again and give you another update if you'd like.
4 to 6 weeks to get the settlement and the judge to grant it, or just 4 to 6 weeks?
Forgive me, I'm not about to say how quickly a judge will sign or not sign.
Yeah. Okay.
A settlement
Thank you.
agreement.
And then again, to reiterate, once that occurs, then you've got to go back and review its impact on the existing plan.
Correct.
So I'm gonna anticipate And I know we've got an extension request through February 28th, but it would seem as though it'd be more reasonable to push that out further based on what you're describing.
It's not an unreasonable request, and it's not an unreasonable request. Keeping it in the immediate future, I know it's an inconvenience for the board to have to consider it, but it keeps it pressing on our side. So if you're asking me to ask or propose an extension greater than the end of February, I can do that, but I don't really want to go later than the end of March. And if I have to come back and give you another explanation or give you another update, I'm happy to do that.
I was thinking April, but March, I mean, something further out, because I think it's going to be a bit of a slow process. But if staff is okay, push it out to March. I think we'll be asking for another extension, but
I think yes, and we'll be offering it.
Are you all right? You okay with it?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why a longer extension wouldn't be palatable. I do understand that you're likely not to authorize anything longer, but I think February seems a little unrealistic given the amount of maneuvering that needs to take place.
Sure. All right. Okay.
So I would amend our offer to extend until the end of March 2026.
And you'll follow that up in writing tomorrow.
I will.
Thank you, or I'll bug you.
Right.
Ed, thank you. I know this is a lot of moving parts, and just for the public's knowledge, this is the first time we're hearing this too. We've been out of the loop during this litigation process. So if we've been silent, because we know nothing about this current process.
And Ed, I think if you could express, the judge has been very involved with you coming to a settlement, right?
Yes. So there's a magistrate judge who is assigned to the case and has conducted numerous in-person and Zoom meetings, and it's given a considerable amount of time and attention to getting us to where we are.
And would the magisterial judge sign it, or the?
No, the U.S. District.
Okay,
Judge
great.
would
Thank
sign
you.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Ed, hold on. We may have some questions.
Yep. Any public comments? If there are, please come to the podium and state your name. Talk loudly so everyone on Zoom can hear you.
You want my social security number? No.
We already have that.
Bob Logan, Bass Cove, Malvern. Very simple question. Who are the parties in that lawsuit?
They are the successors in interest to the former operators of the site. Forgive me if I can't recall their names off the top of my head. I can pull them up. But they are the successors in interest to the former Bishop Tube company.
Okay. And Brian's company?
Thank you, Johnson Mathis. Yeah.
And Brian?
Brian's, because Brian's,
Second part.
yeah, well, Constitution Drive Partners currently owns it, and as a result of that, they're also a participant in the litigation.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Deborah Mobile, 42 Village Way. Boy, I'm like scribbling stuff furiously. So please excuse if I'm not as eloquent as I usually am. There's been obviously a lot of miscommunication or not communication. And I wanted to bring to your attention some other stuff that was going on with the lack of communication that DEP has had with your citizenry. But before I ask that, can I ask, you guys have done a lot of reconfiguring. Who is our contact person if we need to talk to you guys about Bishop Tube? Like, there's always one of you that talks to the DEP or whatever. Who is that now? Is that you, Steve, still?
Yeah, it's still me.
It's still you? Okay.
Yeah, I don't talk to them very often, but yeah, I'm
Okay.
the one who does talk.
So just out of curiosity, and this is the first time that you're hearing this, When was the last time they spoke with you?
I think early November, maybe early to mid-November.
Of this year, of 25?
Yeah, 2025.
Okay, all right. November. Okay, great.
And Deb, I think some of it is related to the litigation process.
Mhm.
Forgive me, Ed, would you agree with that? Yes, and Ed is nodding. So I think, I don't want to take sides on
there's-
that, but there is this process going on that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we had great concerns around is somewhere around October 21st, workmen from the DEP were spotted entering the Bishop 2 property with the intent, they told someone, of drilling wells from Village Way. They were entering, and that's why they were noticed. A handful of residents, I might even say several, received letters notifying them that DEP was coming in to do some work on the property. I didn't get a letter. I live on Village Way. They entered by going past my house. Not only that, I have contacted DEP, and at one point in time, I was on one of their master lists because I had received at least one letter that I can remember in the past from DEP. And I received no such letter. To me, this is a real problem. We are not getting the communication from the DEP. After our meeting with the DEP, they told us, this was the meeting where we had a meeting for them to tell us the plan, and they told us their plan was to have a plan, to make a plan, okay? We all walked out, yourselves included, very frustrated, I think, from that meeting. We waited and received little communication. At one point in time, I believe that dates were thrown around, and there was something about the winter of 25, we should have a plan. Well, that ship has sailed. That has sailed, and the year 25 will be up in less than 3 weeks. And according to what they're telling our neighbors, they're still drilling. And it's one thing to be testing for new stuff, but this is the first we're seeing some of it. And if they are discovering new things and they need to drill because there's additional stuff that they found, then we need to know that, because we need to know that work is going on. Because 9 times out of 10, we look through that fence, and you can see now because all the leaves are gone, and we don't see anything happening over there. I find it hard to believe that the DEP has a plan that they're talking about for this litigation when they haven't even finished testing. So I'm not sure what plan Mr. Campbell is speaking about that he can't talk about, but it certainly isn't a plan for remediation if they're still doing testing. It is really time to insist on a public meeting with the DEP so that they can tell us where they stand and what this plan looks like so far. I understand that the more they dig, the more they find. We told them that before they even started. We had people that came to these meetings who used to work on that property and work on those plants, and they told you about some of the horrors that were buried in the soil beneath that property. So that doesn't surprise me, but we need to know that it is at least moving forward. That the reason that they're on the property drilling well today is because last month this is what the data showed them. And we need to know what the data looks like. And we need your help to push for that. This legislation, although they're saying 4 to 6 weeks, it's been going on for over 2 years. And for 2 years, 2 more years, I've been coming here, not as often as I was initially. It's been a little wild around the house. But my colleagues and I have been coming to you on a monthly basis and saying, we're here. We still want. And I know you want the same thing that we do. You want a safe environment for the people that live in that township. And so we need to band together and get DEP held accountable for what is going on and where we stand right now. And I'll be honest, We need your help because they're not listening to us. You know, if our only recluse is to, you know, our only choice is to go to outside environmental groups and ask them to sue, that's not getting us the information either. Then everything is even more tied up. If we could just find out what's going on, maybe then we can begin to wrap our heads around and make sense of it. And you as a township can begin to plan a little bit more for your future towards how your approach to handling this situation, what it's going to look like. I mean, that makes sense, does it not? So I thank you for listening to me. I would still encourage you to say, even though I know how you're going to vote, to say no to them and let the chips fall where they may, you know, because I believe that the state constitution entitles me to a clean living space with clean air and water. And right now, the development of that property is only going to make the pollution reach farther and wider. Thank you.
I'd like to just jump in, and Deb, maybe you're aware of this, maybe you're not, but the DEP did send a letter to Annika Van Rossum just yesterday, I guess.
That I haven't heard about yet.
Yeah, it's dated December 9th.
Okay.
And I understand you're looking for a meeting, but I just want to read what they say at the end. They say that we recognize that community members are eager for information, and when we have significant new information to provide the public, we will provide that via our community update emails. As we move forward, we ask that you encourage community members to reach out to us directly with questions. Our contact information is available on the webpage for the site. Reviewing the site's webpage and contacting us directly when questions arise remain the primary ways that community members can stay involved and updated on the Bishop Tube site. We agree that the findings of the pre-design remedial investigation, which is, I guess that's what they're starting, should be made available to the community. Following the completion of the work, a data gap pre-design investigation report will be posted to the website, and a public meeting will be scheduled to discuss the results and next steps. So right now, I'm just telling you what they're saying.
And
they're saying they'll have a meeting, but after they do this additional study.
And I'm saying, as of, I mean, it's been 8 years now that I've been coming here talking about this. I think it's time for the township to say, we want you to talk to our people and tell all of us where you stand. In 8 years, they have collected no data that they could give us, which means they weren't doing the job until a month ago when they were spotted at the end of Village Way. You know, supposedly they went in and took samples before, supposedly did this. I understand that this is an extremely difficult plan. I don't honestly, in my heart, believe there will ever be a total cleanup of that property. I have said that before. That is why I'm pushing to clean it up as best you can, hold the responsible parties accountable, and leave it for open space. And if you want to walk your dogs there or hike in that, you can. I'm not taking my grandchildren up there.
Hey, Deb, is there one source? I know there's a number of different groups, but is there a possibility of putting together one central person to receive specific information from whether it's from DEP or from us, that then can disseminate to everyone in the community?
We can make that happen. It's not going to be necessarily through the Delaware County, you know, the Delaware River Protector, because if you're not a member of that group, I don't want to give your address to them, but there are other people who are not a member who do want the information. So there is a possibility that we can come up with one person. I seriously, that'll be me, because they're not sending me mail anymore, but I'm just teasing.
I think that could be helpful for everyone in the community.
We will raise that at our, we meet, we're gonna talk again via Zoom in the beginning of January. It will be right before the next meeting. And maybe what we'll do is talk amongst ourselves and talk about who the best person would be, and maybe even who the backup person would be. So if you knew of something, you would shoot an email to 2 people, just in case one's, I really want to go to Corfu, but that's a whole other issue. So.
That sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Chris, could you turn that off? Thank you.
Actually, May? Sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Lambert Kevin Kyle's here. He's the project manager. Spoke with him. We would amend our proposal to the end of May for an extension. And I'll confirm that in writing.
Okay. Rich, you want to make a motion for the extension?
Wait.
Oh, I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah, I just procedurally, because it's on the agenda as till February 28th, I would ask for a motion to amend the agenda at section 3A to consider extension of time until May 31st, 2026. May I have that motion?
Motion to amend the agenda to change the extension of time from February 28th, 2026 to May 31st, 2026 for Bishop Tube extension.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I'll need the motion for the actual extension.
The extension to May 31st. Great. Okay. I'd like to make a motion for an extension of time until May 31st, 2026 for the Bishop Tube site.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you for.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to finalizing the 2026 budget. Dave, if you could come up and speak loudly into that microphone.
Everyone, I'll try to be brief with this since we've covered this at a couple of meetings. Just to summarize everything, our 2026 budget is balanced. There are no new taxes or fees for 2026, so there's no change in the millage rate. That includes the millage rate for the open space fund. There are some additions to the budget of note that have been discussed in detail. But just wanted to highlight a few of these just for the general public, which includes the contribution to the Malvern Fire Company for the advanced life support services, $70,000, the hiring of 2 new employees, one as a Public Works Department laborer and the other as the Deputy Fire and EMS Chief. The 2026 budget is a 4.5% increase over the 2025 budget. We've been able to get to that without raising any taxes or fees through looking at some of our projections based on actual data over the past couple of years. And so through that, our total budget for 2026 for the general fund is $18,980,497. That is both for the revenues and expenses. And just to kind of recap where we are for 2025, we are finishing the year in a very good position. We are anticipating a surplus through the end of the year. A large part of that is, well, it's really for two reasons. One, through being able to keep expenditures down. And I think that's, a testament to the department heads for keeping a close eye on their respective budgets, and to the supervisors for what has been approved throughout the year. It's also been a very good year in terms of the permitting that has gone on. There's been a lot of development within the township. So with the permit fee revenue, there has been that has been a big factor in the end of the year surplus that we're looking at, as well as some earnings in interest and real estate transfer tax. I don't know if you'd like me to go into any more detail with the budget. I don't want to beat a dead horse if everybody's heard it enough times. So at this point, I'll kind of turn it over to you guys and see if you have any questions or anything else you want to discuss further.
Peter, Rich, do you have, again, we've seen this, I don't know, 7 times. So I think everything's been answered from our standpoint. Anything new, Peter, if you've got any questions on?
Just curiosity, what was the surplus?
So
Proposed surplus. I know it's not there yet.
Yeah, I'm estimating the surplus will be just around $1 million. As where we're sitting at the end of November, it was about $2 million. We are going to have a few more payrolls, some other expenses that are going to come down the pike. We do, of course, anticipate still receiving some additional revenue in terms of we have some people that pay their real estate taxes at the very end of the year, and there will be the fourth quarter earned income tax revenue that will come in as well. So I think, very conservatively speaking, I think it would be at least $1 million.
That's great. And the $1 million surplus is being treated for 2026 as rolled over into the revenue side of the 2026 budget?
No, that actually there was not a need to use that for the 2026 budget. So I think in early 2026, the board can consider maybe using some of that surplus to transfer it to capital funds, park development fund, something of that sort, as the general fund has is well above the recommended requirements for fund balance, essentially a rainy day fund.
So as a result, our reserves are increasing.
Yes,
Right.
that's correct.
Okay, great.
Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, I think we can proceed. Rich?
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2026 budget as presented.
Have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Right.
Passes.
Thank you, Dave.
Also like to express my gratitude to Rich. Only got to work with you for a little over a year, but it's been very enjoyable, and hold you in high regard for all you've done for the township.
Thank you. As CPAs have to stick together.
Moving on to 3C, I'll ask Greg Lewis to discuss the ratification of a few part-time employees.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Due to some vacancies within our part-time staff and looking to add a couple part-time staff members to fill our 5th position that we have vacant several times a month, I'd ask the board to ratify the appointment of part-time firefighter EMTs Michael Barnshaw, Tyler Hall, Stephen Oogie, and Gordon Pippin. We recently did a new hire written and physical agility test, and we had 19 candidates that passed both the written and the physical agility test. We interviewed all 19 candidates, and these are the top 4 candidates that we're recommending at this time.
I think we've all seen the resumes, and they all look pretty strong. Any question from the public? Seeing none. Peter, would you like to make a motion?
I would love to. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to appoint the part-time firefighter EMTs Michael Barnshaw, Tyler Hall, Stephen Oogie, and Gordon Pippin.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passed. One quick note I'll mention, Greg, while you're standing up there, just for the public, and maybe I'm asking a little bit of feedback if possible. Is it, some time ago I asked Greg about UC for these fire suppressant blankets. If they work, can we access them? Just trying to get some information, because if it's something that seems as though it could help the community, we may make an attempt to try to purchase them and make them available to our residents. So again, if anyone has had any usage with these fire blankets, yeah, really, they're fire suppressant blankets. And so Greg is doing some research on it. There's a number of them out there. So if anyone has unfortunately had to use them, let us know.
Yeah, from what I can tell, they're very useful, and a lot of homeowners are purchasing them to carry, to store in their kitchens or other areas in the house, just like a fire extinguisher. What happens if you have a small fire on a stovetop? You get the blanket out, put it over top the stovetop, and it suppresses the fire. It can work on barbecue grills outside, various other things. So what we're doing now is doing our research and seeing if we can get bulk purchase pricing on those, and we may look to do something for the residents of the township with more information. But we can post some information on the township website of how they work, and I'll also put my contact information on there if you want to reach out for more information.
Great, thanks. Moving over to item number 5. So I will turn it over to Zach.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item here is land development application. It's listed here under review and consider authorizing resolution, but I think the applicant would like to just get some feedback on a few items before they revise and resubmit. This is land development 03-2025 for 370 Lancaster Avenue. This is what's commonly referred to as the Importer Barn or the Hibbard Barn redevelopment. It's a preliminary plan approval for multifamily and mixed-use redevelopment of the site. And I believe the applicant and their legal and engineering team is here to present briefly, get some feedback from the board. So with that, I'll kick it over to I guess, George.
Did you guys bring some ice cream? Not yet. Not yet? Oh, we have to let you build first?
Good evening. George Brosman, the attorney for the applicant. We're all kind of, some of you may not see everybody behind the podium, but Matt Lombardi is there, Chuck Dobson, and Sue Phillips from the engineering team. As Zach mentioned, we wanted to come this evening and just give you an update on where things stand with the project and tell you what we've been doing since we were according to my notes, we received conditional use approval from you on November 13th of 2024. We got zoning board approval on December 23rd. So we thought we'd bring you up to date on what's been going on and go over some of the issues with you. Since receiving the conditional use approval and the zoning hearing board approval, the engineering team, along with Matt, have been working on the land development plans, which is the next step in the process. We filed the preliminary land development plan, I think, in July with the township. We received one round of reviews. The responses were submitted to those reviews. Revised plans were submitted. The first round of reviews identified the waivers or modifications that would be needed for the plans as submitted. And we resubmitted the plans along with the waiver modification requests. Most of those were anticipated with the plans, so they didn't come as a surprise. Matt appeared in front of the Historical Commission. He had been there many times when we were working with you last year, and he did, it's my understanding, receive a recommendation from them. He had modified the architecture as he went along, received a recommendation from them that they're satisfied, and then last month we were in front of the Township Planning Commission, and they recommended approval of the plans and all of the waivers, and they even recommended approval of a preliminary final plan, which was one of the things we wanted to float with you. The theory being that since the project had been discussed at such length during the conditional use hearing and the zoning hearing board, and since the Planning Commission had recommended it, we wanted to float that with you and get some feedback on that. Just by way of reminder, since it's been so long, Matt, I believe, was the only prior owner of the only owner of the property compared to prior owners and developers that worked with the township to try to preserve the barn, which is a Class 1 historic resource. The township had to turn down other requests to demolish the barn by other developers. Along the process in working with you, Matt reduced the number of units on a few occasions. He adjusted the architecture in accordance with the Historical Commission. He notched out the building to work to preserve one of the sycamore trees, and just was very cooperative, I think, in addressing all of the comments. Chuck Dobson is here. If you feel it would be helpful, we could just go over the plans. They're completely consistent with the conditional use plans that you approved and the zoning hearing board relief that we received. We could also run through the waivers if you like. So whatever I know you have a busy agenda, so we could take you through those. And I don't know, Matt, if there's anything you wanted to add.
Have there been any material changes since we reviewed and made our decision on conditional use?
We could put the plans up. No,
Well, it's a yes or no.
there have not been any material changes.
Okay.
It's the same plan.
Right. Okay.
Still, in our opinion, a very beautiful plan. Really working with that barn and the addition. I think the changes were, some modifications on the architecture, and there were changes in the land development plans to address comments we received, but not since you last saw it. So it's the same, we think, a great plan.
No, I don't need to see any more. Zach, I'll just ask you, is there anything of substance you think that worth for us to look at again?
Sure. I think so. The reviews themselves look rather long. My understanding, based on the presentation at the last Planning Commission meeting, was that they're all will complies. There's a couple items that I think Ed identified that he would like a little more information on relative to stormwater, but conceptually made sense. One of the conditional use requirements was to retain the sycamore tree in the eastern part of the site. There's a fair amount of comments in the reviews, both the Tom Committa and Land Concepts letter, relative to just confirming that it is able to be saved. There's some pretty extensive documentation. I believe the applicant is also preparing some additional supporting documents from Schreiner tree experts to help substantiate the claim that they are able to retain that tree. If you remember, they notched out the building and made some adjustments during the conditional use. There's been some other things identified through this process. And really, I think the opportunity just to present an update is really the idea. The only things I would say, probably more like things we'll sort out amongst staff. There's some comments in the review letters about should the sidewalk be closer to the road or back now that we've adjusted sort of our approach to Route 30. Does it make sense to put it up closer to the road so it can more easily connect to other sidewalks, or should it be moved back to accommodate a future second travel lane that may or may not occur? So things like that where we kind of intersect from like a planning and construction standpoint. But aside from that, I think it's mostly will complies. And I would say, just for what it's worth, based on what George described, I think staff would be supportive of a combined preliminary final. You know, that's not always the case. Depends on the level of engineering and maybe progress with third-party engineering things or permitting. But I would say from my perspective, that would be acceptable, provided that the review letters are significantly shortened over the next month.
I'm fine with that. We've seen this several times and with no material changes. I don't know if it's realistic to be open this summer, but we'll see.
I'm fine with that as well, Peter. Yeah.
So we're authorizing the resolution then tonight, right?
No,
Or
I'm sure they would
that's
love
already-
that. I think from my perspective, I would be more comfortable if there was another round of reviews just to trim these down and kind of consolidate the things we may need to discuss and focus on.
Okay.
I think the applicant is fine with that. I will review, I don't think we're in need of a extension at this time, especially if you resubmit soon, but I will follow up with you on meeting sequence and things like that.
And yeah, we had discussed with Zach, we're okay with, we have the second round of reviews. We're going to submit a response and the revised plans. And then we'd like to get back to you as soon as we get the third round of reviews. Hopefully they'll be pretty cleaned up, and we would present the plans and the waivers and modifications as preliminary final. And then we can get going and get the ice cream flowing.
Supervisor Fudge.
That may be the worst ice cream flavor I've ever heard.
I thought it, man. All right, thanks, George. Thanks, Matt, for coming out.
Sorry. I meant that in the nicest way possible.
And I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, you're stuck with me. Sorry. Item 5B, this is really just a referral to the Planning Commission, which has admittedly already happened, and setting of a hearing date for a conditional use application that you've seen before. This is actually an amendment to the approved conditional use at 52 East Swedesford. Around the time that this application was approved, the township was exploring options for workforce housing and making some ordinance changes and kind of bringing this issue to the forefront. We spoke with the applicant following their approval. They expressed a willingness to modify their plan and introduce a number of basically income restricted units that we based on area median income and other factors. So all this to say, they're modifying their plan sort of in a way that we requested that they consider. So it would require them to come back through the process. This will be listed on the Planning Commission agenda in December. And then will be before the board, assuming everyone's in agreement, for a hearing at the meeting on January 5th, both reorg and regular meeting as we discussed earlier.
In those reviews, everything seems to be in order from my standpoint. Any other further questions?
I have none.
Yeah, really just we already sent it to the Planning Commission to kind of buy as much time. There's 30-day notice requirements and things like that. Really, it's just the board's setting of the hearing date for January 5th that we're looking for a motion on.
Okay. Rich, you want to make a motion?
Sure, make a motion to set the conditional use hearing on CU 07-2025 for 52 East Swedesford Road redevelopment for January 5th.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's
Passes.
2026.
We will.
Yes.
We should confirm the time. We'll have to confirm like something close to a better, more accurate time for the legal notice, but we can talk internally. I think depending on the start time of the reorg, it's no big deal, but we'll set that in the legal notice.
As long as we got the date, time should be fine. Okay.
Yeah, last item here is the consideration of a final release of financial security for Malvern Crossing. This is the most recent townhome development along Sweetsford Road, sort of near Backton Hill Park. So what I not so smoothly slid to the board was really just some suggested conditions relative to this release. I will read them, but then one of you will also have to read them, unfortunately. So this is a final release. It's a fair amount of money. What we are suggesting is that this release be made conditioned upon compliance with the land concepts review letter dated October 23rd. It just kind of identified some cleanup items which have been completed, but I think it's best to reference that. Posting of maintenance security in the amount of $13,000-ish. This is the money that allows for a few months to take place, and we can make sure that everything survives sort of next year, and then that would be released. And the posting of a fee in lieu for some missing and dead plants within the PICO right-of-way. We actually weren't able to find whether these trees had even been installed. They may have been swallowed up by some of the, yes, that's very dramatic, swallowed up by some of the surrounding vegetation or cleared by PICO. Our thought was doesn't make much sense to keep putting them back. The developer offered to just kind of make a contribution to our tree fund for projects to be undertaken in parks and elsewhere. So we thought this was a good solution under the circumstances.
You want to read those off? Okay, fire away.
I'd like to make a motion to consider final release of financial security for Malvern Crossing Sweetsford 66 LLC. Subject to the following conditions of compliance with land concepts review dated October 23rd, 2025. The posting of maintenance security in the amount of $13,762.75, and a posting of a fee in lieu of the missing/dead plantings within PICO right-of-way in the amount of $2,450.
I will just add to it that the total amount of the consideration for the release is $225,883.52. Got everything covered? Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 6. John Matev, updates on zoning and code enforcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the month of December, the Zoning Hearing Board will close out the year with 2 applications, 2025-07 and 08. Both applications are from the Vanguard Group. They're for properties at 1400 Atwater and then contiguous properties of 1300 Brennan, 87 Matthews, and 45 Creekside. The application before the Zoning Hearing Board will be for fencing, security fencing around the property. It'll be 8 foot in height, where we only permit fences over 6 foot in height in the industrially zoned districts in town. The applicants are here if they have any questions from the board. Fences 8 foot high, black metal, decorative, and see-through basic fence. Not exactly sure if there are any other questions that you gentlemen would have from them, or any concerns that you would have for them.
I would imagine they want a taller fence for greater security. I'm guessing.
Correct. I have no problem, so I'm sure the Zoning Hearing Board can handle these appropriately.
As they always do for you, Mr. Orla.
I second that. So I guess we really don't have any question. Deb?
It's only 8:15.
The face. Deb Mobile, 42 Village Way. Why do we have a zoning law that prohibits 6-foot fences? Like, why do we have this rule that fences can only be 6 foot high?
Oh, that's.
Okay. I mean,
No idea.
I mean, if businesses need it for security, I guess the question would be, if it's a big ugly fence and I was a neighbor of that business, I would want to be notified and have a chance to come in and ask. If nobody's going to see it but the business or another business, I don't really care. So I guess the question becomes, you have a rule for 6-foot fences. Why is that a rule? It must be a rule for a reason. And we just like waive it because they want more security. You know, like maybe if you're, I mean, it's zoning. Were the neighbors notified?
Typically are, John.
And they typically are. Were the neighbors?
No, they will be notified. The hearing is until December 22nd.
Oh, this is their setting up a meeting.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. All right. I would just be curious, like, what views the fence and why do we have rules about the heights of fences? I mean, I could see my neighbor put up a ugly plastic fence, but that's a whole other issue. You know, it was 6 foot. There was nothing I could do about it. You know, if it was 8 foot, I would have been right here.
Yeah, Deb, I think that's the reason is, there has to be a reasonable height. And sure, in this situation, an 8-foot security fence for a business seems very reasonable. If I live next to you and I put up an 8-foot fence or a 10-foot fence and I start blocking your, air and light, and it's not reasonable.
So it can't be 8 foot because it's not considered a business location, like where it's multi-use location.
We just have a blanket restriction.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't differentiate between
That's
uses.
a lot of work that every business that wants to put up a security fence has to come by. And then you have to listen to me ask stupid questions.
So there'll be no questions, Mr. Chairman?
Deb, no question is a bad question. John, want to continue?
Yeah, no, that's it, Mr. Chairman. If there's
That's
no
it?
concerns of the board, I'll let the applicants know, or actually they know already, and we'll proceed with the hearing. Property
Okay.
was posted today, and they'll be notifying the neighbors.
Okay. Hopefully Vanguard didn't have a lot of Oracle stock today for their clients. Sorry. Thank you. I give it and take it. Next is our. Do you have something else?
No, Berta did have the discussion about the 336 Conestoga.
Do you want me to take that one on?
Yeah, take it on.
Yeah. So this is a 336 Conestoga Road. The zoning hearing board had granted relief for a single-family home on the property. The Township Board of Supervisors decided to appeal. During the appeal period, PennDOT decided that the applicant / homeowner is going to have to put up three no left turn signs. Because the zoning hearing board put a condition on that the applicant would only have a sign on their property that says right turns only, because they don't have jurisdiction over the PennDOT roads. Because PennDOT has indicated that there will be 3 no left turn signs, which is a good thing for the township, we determined that, I'm asking the board if we can withdraw the appeal. The attorney, Jonathan Long, for the applicant has indicated that we are working on a declaration that I provided to the board that indicates that any future homeowner, please be aware, the zoning hearing board's decision is attached, that with the condition with the right turn only, and the PennDOT letter indicating 3 no left turn signs are required. So we are putting future homeowners on notice that There are 3 no left turn signs required. And we do believe that that would be sufficient and would meet the requirement of the condition of the zoning hearing board for the right turn only. We didn't want 4 signs, the 3 are good. And not in our lifetime, but if anything should happen, that PennDOT says those signs, those no left turn signs should come down at some point in hundreds of years from now, the homeowner would still have to then put up that right turn only sign. So we did feel that was, Jonathan and I felt that the PennDOT requirement for the 3 left turn signs was sufficient to address the concerns of the zoning hearing board and hopefully the board of supervisors.
Effectively, it's right in, right out, right? That's the short version.
That's the short version,
Okay.
right in, right out. And the chair would like to address I believe it was a sycamore tree.
Yes.
Yes, a sycamore tree in the back. I did not discuss that sycamore tree with Mr. Long. I would certainly discuss that with him and see if that is something that would be amenable to the applicant.
In terms of if there's a way to identify that tree and if possible in their development to work around it is basically the condition that I'm asking them to take a look at.
Yes, I will certainly relay that to Mr. Long.
Okay.
Otherwise, I just wanted to make sure the board was okay with everything. I will not withdraw the appeal till I certainly confirm about the sycamore tree, so I'll probably be back here next month letting you know about the sycamore tree. But otherwise, I just wanted the board to indicate if it's acceptable for what is occurring, and I don't know if the chief wanted to make any comments because I know it was a concern also.
He's happy.
I wouldn't call it happy because I don't like the whole setup, but you know, if they've looked at it and they're telling right in, right out, he's going to have an inconvenience for the life of his living there or whatever. So it's not the best situation, but he's meeting them in the middle.
Yeah, I'm fine with the PennDOT 3 signs and the withdrawal.
Absolutely. Okay. Then this will likely be then on the agenda again after I check on the sycamore tree next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounds
Unless-
good. Thank you.
And for my updates, Mr. Chairman, we received an uptick of noise complaints concerning commercial activity during hours prohibited by our peace and order ordinance. The chief and I have discussed it at length. We're working with the offenders to get compliance, and we'll be looking into improve our ordinance's enforceability. Residents and businesses are reminded noise activity is restricted from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sundays, or 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. on Sundays and national holidays.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any public comments? We do. And the meeting keeps rolling.
Thank you. I'm not mechanically inclined. Hi. Barb Arnold, 31 Fonstock Road. Just 2 quick questions. I was chatting and I missed the date that you extended the Bishop Tube, and I just wondered if you could just... May 31st. Okay. May 31st. Okay. And you guys, when you were talking about the January meeting at the beginning of the agenda, I noticed that the January meeting, it's the 21st. That's the 3rd Wednesday. So is that correct? I just...
No, we are having the January meeting is being moved up to January 5th.
Okay.
So it will follow up after what they call the reorganization meeting.
Okay.
Then we will have the regular January meeting after that on January 5th.
Okay, so everything's January 5th then?
January 5th
Okay,
this
all
year.
right.
And
So it's
then-
early instead
Yep.
of late, as it were. So, okay.
Yep.
All right, great. Just want that clarification. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Orlo, would you care to close it out? Or